So, Chris, this is Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie.
So I kind of, when I was off and back on, I missed a little bit of what you had done. So I don't really have a chart. I got the filters installed, but I kind of missed what was supposed to be within the filters. I have the created date and the job type description date, the job type description filters.
Okay,
So,
let me go ahead and just click on these and talk to you about what we did. We took the create date that you added in, and we just need to modify it to be a little more useful. Our goal would be to have a range, a date range. So in the first drop down here, date and time was already selected because that's the data type that's coming in. And then over here, selected a between date. So right off the bat, what that means is, hey, we got rid of the time. You will not be entering a time into this, but you will enter a to and a from date, or just one date there. Okay. And then I'll move on to job type description for you. We went with equivalence. So does this equal what they're inputting? Does that equal a job type here? You can add multiple job types. So if you want to see 0, you filter this down to more than one job type, you can. I selected equals and then selection. Really, what this is telling me as you kind of map out what each one of these means as you're building reports, this is telling me there's going to be a drop-down menu that I can select from the data values that exist in the system. So if the value doesn't exist in the system or in your data set, then it won't be in that dropdown. So great, I can click on one or multiple job types to filter down my LUPD jobs.
Okay.
I didn't select a delimiter value because I'm not manually, I didn't, here in the second column, I didn't do equals manual entry. So meaning if you were manually adding this, you could then type in one of the job types and a comma and a space and type in the next job type and have those be separated. So the filter would know what it's looking for.
Okay. So on when you're doing the create date filter and you have the date, you're doing the date selection, are you stuck having to click from menu or from month to month to month using the arrow menus, or can you actually input?
Yeah, you'll be able to see that in just a moment, but the answer is you can input into the format that they're looking for. You can input that in as a number value.
Okay.
And then, yes, they have a calendar picker.
If you want to type in the date, you need leading zeros. It does not like it when you do single digits.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It's kind of like POSSE trying to going from client server to web, where all of a sudden web now wants words instead of digits.
Yep, that is exactly it. All right. We are at 10. Is it 10 a.m.? Yes.
It is.
It is. So we're chipping away through the material. I'll give just a minute for everybody to get back and be ready to go, and we'll start moving forward. Yeah, our time goes very quickly, so I'm glad that altogether without breaks we have 7 hours between today and Monday. There is, again, a ton of depth where we're just touching the surface of what this reporting tool can do, and we'll try to start picking up some speed as we get more comfortable with the system. But we want to definitely repeat a number of these, repeat a lot of these kind of common configuration parts that we're going to be doing that you will do when you're building a report. Okay.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So if you're not happy with the report that you created, is there a way to remove report parts and add others?
Absolutely. We'll start off there. So as I come down and I hover over and I get this, my menu options at the top of my report part, I can slide over and find the corner. This will be delete. So if I'm not happy with what I've built and I don't think it's worth saving or kind of modifying this, and I just want to start over, yep, you just delete that, and then you go ahead and you can, up here, you can add a report part, and you can have multiple report parts. So I just click that button. I now have 2 report parts, is what that's really telling me at this point. You can click that button and it will create that. I'm going to delete this second report part, and we're going to take, I'm assuming at this point everybody is back and we're getting back into this. I would need to choose, okay, what type of report part I'm going to be adding here. I'm going to go ahead, and we've created an extremely rough report. It isn't something you want to show to anybody at this point, but it has the bones that we were looking for. It has the data source we were looking for. It's displaying data in the manner we want, and we're able to filter down the data to what specifically we want to look at. So I'm going to click report. And okay, this is something you're going to see quite often in this system. And sometimes it's actually very much not helpful. Sometimes it's very helpful. So I have to ask myself a question. Did I save this? And in the form that I want to? Did I just make some changes and save it, and I'm okay to move away from this and I'll come back to everything I've already saved? Or is it helping me know that, oh man, yeah, I don't want to leave this yet. I want to make sure I save my changes. So depending on the answer to that question, you will click cancel and save your changes. In my case, I really think I've just added this second report part that I don't want. I believe I've saved it after my filters were put in and correct. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to report viewer. So here we are. Here is my very rough graph that we're going to keep working on. I'm going to click this. So this is more of what you're going to see as you start showing reports, as you have people who are just report viewers. They're coming in. They have been emailed a report. They have been, and I'm sorry, an email report will be either embedded or a PDF. But in this case, let's say you've been told, go take a look at this report, and you come in, and this is more of a presentational style showing of the report. You'll see that I have a report name up top. I have filters, but there's plenty more to dress up on this and polish. My filters created date. That's not really something I want people to see in this format. Same with job description. Does who the person looking at this report, do they understand what that means? So let's go ahead, we'll work on those things, but for right now, I just want to show you, we added filters. Okay, what do they look like? Well, we said we wanted a date range. So this is what a date range looks like, and this arrow is kind of giving you that from this date to this date. And I can enter one. So again, if I'm going to type in, I'm going to need this in month, day, your format or I can use the picker down here to get where I want. So I'm just going to grab the jobs from the beginning of this year. And I'm going to go ahead and move over to job type description. So I didn't put any end date. So I'm assuming that this is taking everything from that date forward. Here, I don't want at this point want to narrow this down or filter this down to any of these, but I'm going to apply the filter that I just added. We'll see the update here, and now I can take a look and see my counts. Is this what I'm still asking the question in the back of my mind consistently, is this what I want to be seeing? Or, you know what, would this look better actually as a column graph? And you have columns coming up to these counts. There are things like, do I want to have the number listed at this point for each one of these, so I don't have to hover over to see the exact number, and I don't want to just guesstimate like, this one looks like it's above 40, but not quite 50. Oh, it is 50. Okay, great. And then in January, we had January of 2020, we had 47 LUPD jobs. Well, do I want to know more about what type those jobs are? So kind of continuing to ask, how is this going to be useful and effective for my department? Let's go ahead and do some filtering. So I've decided I just want to see conditional use permits major. All right. And I'm going to apply that filter. Let's not forget our steps. Okay, so it looks like I had one job created here and one here. Yeah, that's what it looks like. I'm also curious, well, is my line graph really displaying in a manner I want it to display? And I'm going to say no. I don't actually like what I'm seeing. Let's add in a few others just to kind of show you what I can do here. So I can add in minor as well. And you know what, we also want to see plan development permit. And don't get caught up in any of what we're doing on the business sense of, is this report helpful? My guess is probably not. But I'm here to show you the tools that you're using. So I'm going to apply the filter, and now we get to see that we have those 3 filters going to what I'm showing. So it's going to go off. Right now, we're only previewing 100 records. Kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So if you're like, Chris, this really doesn't sound right, you're correct. It's not your complete data source. We're just keeping it thin so we can get our work done and not wait around for extra data to come in. And I could bump that up to more records just to see it. If you get to, hey, I think this is complete, now I want to see the whole data set. So some of the things you'll notice as options, and we'll go in and talk about these things. Well, one, I can save this right now. If I save this, it's going to save in the parameters I've placed in. So if these are, and I say parameters, it's going to place in the filter criteria that you have placed in. If these are what you want to save into your report, then great. Place these in, and we're kind of saying, okay, these are visible filters that we have preset the values on. If you don't, then I'm going to pull out job type description. I don't want anything narrowed down in there. I do want our date in there. I just want to see from the beginning year to where we are is my purpose for this report. So let me apply the filters. Sorry, clicking on a few things at once. Let me apply those filters. Let me go ahead and save this. Great. All right. That's done. Refresh is if you've made any changes and you want to refresh the data again. Okay, top menu, subscribe. We'll be getting into what it means to subscribe to something, but very briefly, you can add yourself, or you can add, well, sorry, subscribe is adding yourself to this report and you're setting a subscription that allows you to have a delivery method, a type. So how is this report getting to you, and on what frequency is this report ending up at your doorstep? So you can print this, you can email this, and we might be looking at some permissions right here for emailing, exporting, or I just might need to get out of the subscribe. So go ahead and close that. All right. I'm seeing a lot of training reports.
Button.
Oh, do we have a question?
Yeah, I don't have those buttons.
Are you in?
I think I'm still in the same place.
Connie, let's go ahead and have you share your screen.
Sure.
So, yeah, Chris, you just want to pull your screen off and we'll take a look at what Kanani is seeing.
Absolutely.
I think if you're still on the edit the job function, it doesn't show you the subscribe type buttons. If it says like report viewer in the top right, click that one.
That's what I want to hit? Sure.
Yeah, click report viewer from there.
Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. I guess I missed something. Sorry.
No, it's okay. And I like how you've added the report filter info. So it's listing off what in this report, what filters have been added to this report. Okay,
Thank
that's looking good.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Okay, any questions about filters? Any questions about the report viewer as of now?
So where you share your screen, it covers up that little area where
So at this point, would you guys like to take a few minutes and go into the report viewer and get your report? If you want, you can add in those values to your filters. You don't need to, but you could add in those values to your filter in the editor or in the report viewer. Would somebody like to share their screen and we do that together? Or are you, this is an open question, are you ready to move on to talking about the next section? Anybody want to weigh in their thoughts?
Jonathan, do you have a question?
Yeah, when somebody shares their screen, there's an inset that covers up a couple of the buttons.
Yeah, I saw your email. Can you pop out on the presentation? There's a little button on the bottom left, I think, to like pop out the presentation. I'm wondering if that will change the inset or overlay or not.
19 resubmitted, 13 approved. I know by heart. 6 were resubmitted.
Somebody's talking over you.
That's
There's a hot mic someplace.
but they're always
Yeah.
on overtime.
If you want to, if you're not currently chatting, do you want to go on mute? Jonathan, I think you're the one asking the question. Herbert.
So yeah, Herbert and Charlie, if you just want to hit mute real fast. Okay, go ahead. So Jonathan, yeah, I was thinking that there's a little button in the bottom left corner for me to pop out the presentation. I was wondering if that would get rid of the overlay.
Yeah, it does.
The little overlay that like switches between, that's the picture-in-picture on-off button. On my browser based, you need to go to the 3-dot menu to see that one.
Thank you, Herbert.
Were you able to get that to work, Jonathan?
Yeah, it was, thanks.
Okay, sounds good.
Great. All right, we're going to step into, okay, we have created a report. If all of you have saved your report, well, I can take a look right here and see that that looks to be the case. Or it's roughly close. So what do we do once we have a report? So we've created a report. We obviously created it for a purpose because that was in our design, and we want to share it with people, and we want to manage that report. So right now we're going to start talking about just report management, and then a little bit later, we're going to talk about how we share this report, how we schedule this report. So quickly, we can expand all the reports at once, or we can come down to, I guess, actually, let me back up for a moment. Let's talk a little bit more about this. So again, we have a search. So if I want to search for just my report, I can click on report name. If I want to leave this in all, I can. I don't know.
Chris, you're not sharing your screen.
Oh, well, then let me.
I'm seeing his screen right now.
Yeah, if
I'm seeing a whole display. All I'm seeing is you guys.
do you see in the top right?
Display where you have people on one screen and then the display of what I'm presenting on another? You might need to, I want to say swipe desktops. You might look and see if you have it on another desktop or behind your, where it's displaying everyone.
Oh, hold on. Okay, I got it. All right, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, I see all my local categories. We've been doing everything out of training. I'm going to go ahead and search for CDP just to get the report I'm looking for. Obviously, you would probably be using a report name instead of initials to get there, but I'm going to use that functionality to help me just see what I want to see at the moment. And I'm going to expand this out so I can see a few things. One thing I want to highlight, version control is always extremely helpful. So you can save 20 different versions of your report. It will kind of continue to keep the last 20 versions. So it'll just keep pushing out older versions. But if you are working on a report and you've been working the last couple hours and saved a few different versions, and you just start thinking, you know what, this was better at the beginning of the day than it currently is, you can come in here, and we're seeing this kind of, I'd call it a Post-it note is what it looks like to me, but this is copy report. So these are my archive reports. I'm currently on version 5, and that's where that number 5 came from. So if I click on that, I get back into my report, or this is a report viewer look. I'm going to go back to reports. I'm going to kind of repeat that same.
Hey, Chris, you're picking up quite a bit. Just want to hang on a sec for that to clear up.
Yes. How are we now? And I don't know, Charlie, can you put yourself on mute? And I don't know if Ray, you need to as well, but we definitely have some background noise.
Hey, this is Derek, building inspector.
Yeah, Charlie, are you able to mute yourself real quick? There we go, perfect. Yeah, just hearing a few other things. Okay, I think we're good to go. I think you're cleared up, Chris, so just kind of start back where you were filtering there.
Okay, so anyways, I have filtered my way back to the report I want to look at. I'm going to expand this. I'm going to quickly show you about version control. So I've saved this 5 times today. And as I click on this button to view the history, I'm expecting a pop-up to come up, and I don't know if we're just a little slow or if I didn't click it correctly. All right, so archived. I want to go back to this 3rd version. Now, it's not going to revert back and make this version your current version. What it's going to do is copy out this report at this version. So, you know, I was actually at a better place a couple hours ago when I had this report at version number 3. So I'm going to copy out that report by clicking this button. I'm going to get to save this, and I'm going to just append a 2 on this, or, you know, for the version number, why don't I append 3? And that's how many times it took me to get that one. All right. So down to training. I want to keep this in the training category. Perfect. Click OK. The report LUDPD successfully copied to training. Great. That's exactly what I wanted. I'm going to go ahead and close that. I'm going to go ahead and close this. And I'm going to do my search for CDP again, just as a quick way to get where I want to be. And here we go. Now I've copied this out, and I can, you know what, if I don't need this report anymore up here, I can go ahead and delete it. Let's take a look at some of the other options we have for reports. So in that use case, I can go ahead and delete it if I really don't want it. The changes I made aren't useful, and I can just go ahead and start with this other copy of the report. From this menu, you can open the report. So this opens it in the report viewer. If you're going into a report to edit it, then you'll probably want to just click one of these. But if you go open the report, you can also then go edit the report. But quick edit, this just gives you a few options that are this gives you a few options that you can edit the filters and the name of the report. I don't think there's much more you can edit from that. So it is exactly as it says it is, a quick edit. If you need to edit the report part, then you'll be going into the design to make those edits. And that's where we've been working out of. You can copy this report. You just saw me do it through a reversion version, but I can also just click copy here and put the name in, put the category I want to do it. Move, same thing, same kind of concepts. I can move it. So moving it, you're not creating a copy. I can keep the name the exact same and just move it to a different category or wherever you would like to move it, a category or subcategory. Okay. Oh, well, I don't have permissions to move it to no category. So I really mean to click cancel. A side note, when you click enter, so, and this is pretty much, this is across the board. When you click enter, let's say, anyways, I've selected something, I click enter from this menu, it's going to usually cancel. And especially on the save, that's something I found very odd, is that when you go to save and it says, it brings up anything, any type of error message, or it brings something up to your attention and it has OK and cancel, if you click enter, it will cancel it. It will not save it. Print, export, so we can export this in different formats. Email, we'll get into email and subscribe, and we'll talk about that from this menu and also from in the design menu. So we have getting people in front of reports. You kind of have 3 different ways. You can subscribe yourself, you can email it out to people, and you can also schedule a report to be delivered to people. And all right, so that gets us through kind of some report management and then talking about how we share this. So let's continue down the how we share this. Let's take a look at email. All right, so I can go ahead and start typing in here an email address and send it that way. I can also click the plus button and take a look at my options. Right now I have no options from users to email, so that might be a privilege thing. item that I need to take a look at for system administration. But you will add in who you would like to email this to. The report name will automatically come in as the email subject. Each time you see these curly braces, these or brackets, these are going to be bound in parameters that are generated by report information. The recipient name would come directly from the user that you have decided to email this to. So here, I'm going to change the delivery method. The link option does not work to send somebody a link and have them come back, click the link, and open them up directly to the report. So what you'll need to do is you can send an attachment or embedded HTML, and you can reference that they can also view the report. If they are a POSSE Web user who has ad hoc role, they can also view the report by coming into ad hoc.
Yeah, and I'll add on to that real quickly here, and just to say that, yeah, the only way to access ad hoc is through POSSE Web, the link that you guys all use, and that's why direct links for other users are not going to work. It has to come through POSSE Web to know that they're a qualified POSSE individual who can access the site. So that's sort of the reason that you can't directly link to a report. If you wanted if somebody already had access and you wanted to tell them to go look at it, just tell them to log in to POSSE Web and find the report you're talking about, and they can go view it. And then we can also talk about what kind of access other people will have. Most of the time, you guys will be the only ones creating reports, but other administrators, administration users, and like your branch chiefs and division chiefs will likely would be getting read access to the report, but that's going to kind of change as we kind of implement this stuff into your production system. So,
thank you, Sam. You can see down here we have filter value selection, and I hear somebody doing some good typing work. Can you throw yourself on mute? And Kanani, you have a question. Go ahead and ask that.
That we create it, if other people are also able to create, are they able to edit your saved things? Like your saved reports? If they have the ability to create reports?
Yes. So for division right now, if you and I are both in the same division and we are both creators, report creators, that's kind of our role is division and a creator or a viewer. If we are both creators in the same division and I create a report, you will be able to go in and modify. You'll see that report, and two, yes, you can, as of right now, the default is that you can go in and modify that report. You have full access to the report, if you will.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
In general, as you guys are working on reports, we're going to keep having you guys put them into your own divisions category. So every time you save them into probably the customer service division category, and that's going to be the way to kind of keep those all separate. Report from, you're really the only representative from CSD right now, so that shouldn't be an issue for you, but we might update or change that model in the future as we go, depending on what works for people. So that's possible. That's touch and go right now, but that's kind of the idea at this point.
If you've created a report and somebody goes in and has the ability to and modifies it, though, that's tracked, though, isn't it, through like an auditing report?
There isn't a specific auditing report, but we did briefly go over the versions of the report. So you could go back through to an older version of the report. And I believe it does record who last saved the report and who last modified it. I think, Chris, if you hit cancel on that screen, I think it does show who the last person was to change it. But as of right now, and as of the plan right now, I think no one outside of this room is going to be modifying reports.
Okay.
So everyone in this meeting right now is the group, and that's not likely to change unless we are able to get another training for other folks. So there won't be too much back and forth as far as people in the same division changing the same things.
Okay.
And we'll take that step into one more comment of there's a report viewer role per division. So that role can be assigned to people who need to view reports, but they will only be able to view reports. They will not be able to save them or modify them anyway.
Hello, I have a request. This is Ray.
Hey, Ray.
Yes, Ray, what's up?
Yeah. So the training can be more relevant to our division. Can you just add a list of planning division jobs into the training database?
We certainly would be able to, but it wouldn't be able to happen right away. I might be able to get something in for next session, but I wouldn't be able to get anything in now.
Yeah, that'd be great. That's what I'm for on Monday, perhaps.
Perhaps. I'm not gonna. I won't be able to commit to anything now because there's usually a process that we have to go through for that. So I will try. I can take a look at that, but for the training purposes and for just where things are right now, that's kind of just where we're at. So just try to do your best to learn with what data is there. And get used to the system. And then later on, we'll talk about getting as much useful data for you guys as possible.
Okay, thank you.
I do want to make one note there that it seems counterintuitive, but having your exact data doesn't actually help you learn the reporting tool. I think it actually takes focus away from the tool and gets you much more into the report design creation of what you want to do with your department or what you want to do with your focus on reports, and kind of pulls away from, hey, this is just the tool, and that's actually, we go out of our way to not make too realistic reports, because it ends up feeling like, well, we're just diving into the details of what should be in this report instead of how are we going to make and create this report with this tool. Moving on, I'm going to jump in. Hey, we have our filters. So currently we have this saved in. It's going to generate this report and email it as an embedded report HTML. So this email, you're expecting it to come in, and in the body of the email, you would see the report there. So we're going to need to add the filters that we like to, and we already in the report created these filters. We preset this value here. If I want to add any further selection to the job type description to filter this down, I would do that here, and then I would click send. So I'm going to cancel that. As Sam was saying, I have a report owner, I have a report creator, and I have the last edited by. I also get to see number of views, average rendering time, pieces of, again, that report management. So for emailing, that's really sending to others. If I want to subscribe myself to this report, so I've come in, maybe I'm a report viewer, I can come in and say, you know what, oh, I see this report in my division, and I'm not currently getting that. Nobody's scheduled it, and I don't really, instead of asking somebody, I just like to subscribe to it. Or if you're a report creator, same thing, and you want the report you just created to be coming to you personally, and you're not doing that through a scheduling of, let's say, everybody in a role. We can do that here. So I just add a description, and you'll start kind of seeing some of the same parameters. You know, when am I going to, so subscribe report item, right? When am I going to start receiving this report? At what time is it going to be sent out? What's going to be the recurrence for this? Is this a weekly report that I would like to come every week on Monday? So I'm going to set the date to next Monday. We need a date and a time that are in the future for this to work. And you know, at 7:30 in the morning is what I would expect for that. That'd be most helpful. Give it an instance name. So LUPD jobs let's try that again. LEPD jobs, weekly update. And now this, I'm just subscribing myself to. Now, when we go in a minute and chat about scheduling a report, we're going to see some different options. And I'd like this emailed. Again, I don't want to link. I'd like the embedded HTML, or I'd like a PDF attachment. So I can select that. And how do I want this delivered to me? You know what, PDF is the easiest form for me. I'd like this to go be sent at 7:30 in the morning on my subscription, or sorry, my profile time zone. Great. Again, we have a few bound-in parameters, kind of same piece. And one note, Sam, and maybe I'm just missing the functionality for here, but I think we need to have the embedded, oh no, sorry, this is an attachment. Excuse me, no note. Again, decide my filters values, and you know what, this all looks great. I'm gonna add that in.
And so what's really cool about this is, yeah, what's really cool about this is then that you can set this up, you can develop a report that's gonna look good. It gets sent out every Monday. You don't have to think about it. Like that, you're just going to get that report. If you have your division manager wants to see that report on a certain day, instead of having to email that to them every day or tell them to go in and get it, you can just tell them to go in, add the subscription setup, and just get it emailed to themselves every single morning, or every Monday morning, or every month, or whatever that looks like. And it's thoughtless for you once you've gotten it all set up. So really, really helpful to just give you back that time that you would spend sending it or sharing it with others.
I agree. And we'll take that one step further. So the subscribe is really for you as a user going in and subscribing to it, or somebody else as a user going in and subscribing to it. But let's go in and let's, to get to scheduling, I need to get to the edit of the report. So I'm going to use this edit, and I'm going to go to design, which gives me all the options I have available. And I'm going to go back in this left column. I'm going to expand it so I can see what I have again. Data source, design, format we haven't talked about, but format is really a header and footer. So we'll get into polishing this report more because it is still quite rough. Exporting. I would like to export this report. Schedule. So here I can schedule the report, and this gives you a different level of functionality. Again, I'm going to go in and type in, I want this to be a monthly update this time. And see if we can make that happen. All right, so I've given it an instance name, really saying this allows you to know what is, just identify the scheduled item on this report. All right, so we're going to schedule this again. All right, do I want this at the end of every month? Do I want this at the beginning of every month? You can make that decision. And I'm going to say 7 o'clock in the morning. Sounds wonderful. Every day? No, that's not my intention for this. Every month? Yes, that is my intention. So I've set up the schedule to go once every month at 7 a.m. on the last day of the month. Delivery type. Okay, I want this to be emailed, and I'd like this to be embedded, or would I like an attachment? I'd like it sent on my users, whoever is a part of my recipients group. I want this sent on their time settings. That doesn't have to be the case. I'm just selecting that. And let's go to role. I'm going to click search. When we take a break, I'm going to go take a quick look at the settings, because right now I should be seeing all the different role types. And if I select a, let's say in this case, this is an LUPD job, so I'm expecting, and what I'm intending to do is come in here and assign the LUPD report viewer role. So all the, for division, the viewers, I want them to get this once a month, and then you can take a look at who's in that role as well. So I'm going to click cancel in this case. But again, same options. I'm seeing the same things again as kind of the email, subscribe, and schedule. Schedule is definitely, this is when you're thinking about how you distribute reports, this is where I would want you to go. It is much more about getting the reports to the group that needs to get it. The email is more of an instance type thing, something that you do, you know, you're like, oh, we also need this month to get this out to this person. And you're kind of doing it instead of as a routine report you're sending out that's just happening more ad hoc or happening on the fly. Subscribe is, I'm going to say for the last time, is for you as a user that you want to be getting this report and keeping you up to date. And then you can come in here. So let's say you have created this. If you need to modify it, you'll come back here and modify it or change who's receiving it or delete this. So you'll see this trash can over here. I can click on an instance or a subscription row and come put it in the trash. All right. From there, we have 7 minutes before the next break. We've had a good discussion on what we're going to do with the report after we create it. How are we going to manage it? How are we going to distribute it? Any questions at this point?
Are we supposed to be able to manage other people's subscriptions? Because like you saw the example one I created on yours, but I can't see the example one you created on yours.
So no, I might have, I actually should not have different permissions than you. Have you updated, excuse me, I'm in the wrong place. Have you updated that page as I added in that description or since I've added that in? Meaning
yeah,
have you gone somewhere else and then come back?
I navigated to the dashboard and then back to the reports, and I still can't see the subscription in that thing.
Okay, that's probably permissions, and subscriptions are for you, so you should not be able to manage somebody else's subscriptions.
So I would add to this, I think the reason why is because Chris created this report, so he owns that report, which means he's going to be able to see anyone who's chosen to subscribe to the report. If you are a user who did not create the report, but who wanted to keep an up-to-date on it and so subscribe to it, that doesn't necessarily mean you'll be able to see everyone else who is subscribed. But Chris, as the owner, will default to being able to see all that.
Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sam, picking that
Okay,
out.
well, I don't know about everybody else, but my screen moves very slowly. So you're talking about 60 seconds or so ahead of what the screen shows. So I've gotten lost like 3 times watching you.
Okay. I'll try to think of what I can do better to handle that. But yeah, that is tough to have such a large lag.
Yeah, some of this stuff is, I mean, the sharing stuff specifically is, there's a lot there, but you don't necessarily need to know all of it. Like right now, we're still keeping a pretty small group of the number of people who are going to be viewing these. Most of the time, you'll just use the email function when you're in the report to send it to somebody who needs to see it. So it should be pretty intuitive, even if you didn't follow along with everything Chris did. And all of this is also mentioned in the documentation material. So if you need to go back and check something or look at the recording of this video afterwards, all of that's going to be available to you. So there'll be plenty of time to work on that. And yeah, so I think you should be able to catch up, even if we're falling behind us a little bit on what Chris's delay between his talking and his visual. But.
Thank you, Sam. And yeah, Jim, for you, let me just click in here again and just make a point that for each one of these, they're very much, they have different purposes, but their structure of adding an instance name, putting in the schedule are the same. And then putting in the delivery, how do you want this delivered is the same. So, and you're working out of drop downs. I think you'll very quickly be able to see, recognize, and understand how to do this. But if you have any questions on the break, I can gladly go through this again. All right. We have 3 minutes. I think this time's best spent asking more questions if anybody has them, or we can go ahead and take our break and come back at the top of the hour for the last hour we have together today.
I have a question. Since we're doing this in the POSSE test database program, if we want to do this and we want to set this up as an email and send it as an email, will it actually send out an email under the data from the test database?
Yes, it will.
Okay, good.
And it will send an email that I could send you guys an example, but the email it sends will come from a user called, let me see if I can find an example of it. It will say in brackets, it'll say test, and then it'll say POSSE ad hoc reports as like the user sending it. So it will be pretty obvious that it's coming from a test environment. And when it comes from the actual production site, it will have a slightly different one. It will say POSSE ad hoc reports. I think it just says POSSE ad hoc reports, but it won't have the tag of dev or test next to it. So you'll know that that it, if it's coming from a
if I was
test
going to do it, it
environment.
was only going to be sent